What's up, people? This is Prison Without Walls, and I'm your host, Without. Now, as you can see, I've let my beautiful locks just do their thing. I got mayonnaise in them earlier eating some McDonald's. Anyways, also, one thing I'm real excited about, I quit smoking cigarettes like, I don't know, probably like 10 days ago or something. But I got on the Juul. And I know Juul's controversial. They talk about the teens and all that, and I understand that, but Juul is actually very good for people that are on cigarettes. Like, it's better to be on a Juul than a freaking cig. Man, my hair's all tingled. So anyway, I'd rather be on the Juul. And I'm gonna actually grab that right now. Hold up. Man. But, best part is, I ordered some Canadian Juuls. So mango and cucumber. You can't get that in the States. But I got it. I ordered it. And it came right from Quebec, Canada, to good old New Mexico. It is beautiful Juul mango pod. So clear. So right. Look, it's white as my shirt. It's white as a ghost when I run up on you with that clip. So, I told you guys I would tell you about when, how I got thrown into prison. So, you guys have probably heard before, I was on probation for a while. Not really that long. But anyways, I got 5 years probation for robbing the dope dealer. When I got out of jail doing 17 months, my sisters, my family all wanted to help me. They all were cool. Well, when I got out, I wanted to get on Suboxone. Those of you don't know what that is, it's like it's a maintenance drug for opiate addicts that isn't it's a half agonist is what it is. So it has a ceiling effect. So at some certain point in time of using it, you won't be able to feel the effects of the opiate. You can't like get high off of it. So that's the difference between Suboxone and methadone. Methadone, you could just continue to just get trashed. Like you just take more and more. So, whoa, might have dropped. I don't know what happened. My bad. Family, they probably didn't want me on that. They thought, I was almost in jail for, I was in jail for 1.5 years. Why do I need that? And it's like, why do you gotta shame me? Why am I always less than if I'm on a drug? Don't you take ibuprofen every day? Don't you take your things? Like, if I'm a better person on it, if you gotta worry less about me being on the streets doing dope, can't you just be happy? Same thing goes with the heroin too. If heroin was legal, you wouldn't have to worry about me robbing and running the streets like a wild man. I would be a regular citizen. I wouldn't be a felon had opiates been legal, If I could have took if my freaking insurance paid for it, like it pays for my Suboxone. But anyways, so I'm probation, and my family. So they start, I start getting on the subs. My sister starts getting suspicious. She'll dig through my shit like a CO when I wasn't home. I went through that for 1.5 years. I don't need people digging in my room when I'm gone. And trying to cover the whole shit up too. So, anyways, one day, I guess, I don't know what I spilt, but it wasn't blood. She found some drop of red something. Blood's dark, if it's drying, it turns like a darker maroon to brown. She's tripping, saying, oh, there's blood on the... There wasn't. I know there wasn't. But that's the reasoning she put behind like searching my shit. She kicks me out because she found a spoon. I understand. But then they always take away my job too. They strip me of my whole life. Like, you ain't worth a job. Like, I showed up. I worked every day. Anyways, so I'm on the streets just like running around, like staying from place to place, couch to couch, chick to chick. And like I had a homie that I met a while back, and he like was selling a lot of heroin at the time. When I first met him, he was selling a lot of coke, and he was paisa, which means, you know, he's from Mexico, and so he had like paisa basically like paisa connects, like kind of almost like basically connects to the cartel, maybe loosely. I don't know how strong. I never really asked, but he started helping me out. And he started letting me stay with him. So then we started pushing dope together. He starts seeing that I'm loyal. Well, I totally need to backtrack. I violated on probation within 2 months. I was in 18 months. I violated. Then when I violated, I went back. I had to finish this program called alcohol treatment program, which is a whole nother crazy story within itself, because it was one of the most ruthless pods that I had ever been in, where I had witnessed like this handicapped kid being tortured basically for weeks. They kept beating him up, making him fight every day. He kept fighting, and they never knew why he went at PC, because they kept calling him a rat. But the kid just kept fighting. He wouldn't go nowhere. And it was because he was handicapped, so it was really crazy to see it. That's a whole nother story, but so when I'm in there, you know, me and Daniel, we go in, like my homie from the streets, we go in to jail basically together. I get into this pod, we get transferred to ATP together, then we graduate together. We hit the streets. My whole thing was to get into a rehab. That was my conditions of my release after I completed this alcohol treatment program while in jail. And so I completed. It's a month long. I was in jail about another 2 months. So I got out right before, I think it was right before, no, it wasn't. I was in there after New Year's. So I get out, I get into a rehab. This rehab, it's called Good Shepherd's Program. It's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. If anybody's heard of it, there's this guy there. His name's Julian. He's a Vietnam vet, and he's all jacked up in the head, killing all these commies or whatever the fuck. So excuse me, I'm trying to keep this without the cussing. So this guy's like, I don't know. He has it out for drug users, and he doesn't belong in an addiction treatment program at all. But he's there, and so I had a script for Suboxone at this point from before I went to jail for my violation. And so I told him it takes about, you look it up online, it could take about, I peed dirty like 9 days later, given a dirty way. And so and I wasn't even on Suboxone as much as I was at this point. So I told him it was gonna take at least 10 days or something. He said, nope, 5 days. And I said, all right. When I got there, they didn't UA me. They let me get in the program. I was following the conditions of my release, following my probation type of shit. This is a 6-month program that I got to complete, that I was willing to complete. Well, on the 4th day there, somebody's tripping. They're saying there's dope in the facility, something. So they want to UA a few of us. They take me and like 2-3 other dudes. And I told him, like, I have a real hardcore problem with, like, pissing in front of somebody right away. But I told him, hey, bro, it's only been 4 days. You know, it's going to take 10. Like I said, no, not 5 days. I said, well, it's only been 4. So, and he said, no, but you already said yourself, you're going to be dirty. And I was like, so? And he's like, I said, you're going to send me to prison. And he's like, nah, I don't want to hear it. Just go pack your shit. And he just kicked me out. And I said, I really wanted to hurt him. I really wanted to go back and destroy some of his property. I wanted to get back at him in some type of way. I wanted to destroy his vehicle, do something crazy. A lot of people want to get at that dude because of how he treats us in those programs. He knows our freedom sometimes, a lot of times depends on it, and he don't care. He wants our freedom taken from us. But anyways, so I'm on the streets. Daniel, my homie, like I said before, he starts helping me. He's got the connects. So we get 20 ounces of heroin and we start selling all crazy. I'd never seen that much dope in my whole life. I was blown away when he brought it back. I don't think I'd even had an ounce before. But anyways, we're doing good. We're making thousands. So he makes me eventually makes me his 50-50 partner. We're doing good. We're making a lot of money. Well, the dope that we were getting was real strong. And I remember one day, Daniel, he violated probation too, and he had 21 years suspended for trafficking. He had a ton of traffickings. 21 years suspended for 5 years probation. We were getting through loopholes and stuff, and he was reporting. And I was on the run at this point from my probation. And I could have gone and they could have gave me 5.5 years prison. But he violated one day, so he was in prison. He was in jail for 10 days, and while he's in there, he's seen that I was loyal. I held it down. I paid all the deals, the connects, and I kept everything moving afloat. He got out. Everything was legit. While he was clean for a little bit, so he did a shot actually the next day. He did one that night, but nothing happened. The next day he did a shot. He overdosed. It was really crazy. That's a whole nother story too. Well, I bring him back. His family's all loves me. They all speak Spanish, but let me see how long this dang video is. Dang. How long have we been going already? His family speaks Spanish, and they all so it's kind of hard for me to communicate, but they all love me and stuff for saving his life and all that. And I kind of really did, because the ambulance wouldn't have made it. And if they would have came, he would have went to prison for a long time because of the overdose. A month later, it's a Sunday, I overdosed. I started doing a lot of benzos, a lot of Xanax with the heroin. I overdosed on a Sunday. Daniel brings me back now, this day. He brings me back to life. When I come to a few hours after he brought me back to life, I guess I was blacked out still when he brought me back. When I come to, he asking me all this. I'm I don't even remember. I just thought I was asleep. I didn't know I overdosed, nothing. And he was telling me all this stuff that had happened. I was breathing crazy, weird, and how I stopped breathing, and I was turning purple, where he found me versus where I had done the drugs at. So he brings me back. I'm all thankful. Well, he thinks I'm trying to kill myself, so he brings 2, and I wasn't. He takes the dope away. He hides it all. We had ounces. He hides it all, and he only has 1 out for us to sell. And he brings these 2 chicks over, and these chicks, he's trying to cheer me up. He told this chick to hook up with me or something. I don't know. She was downer. She was a real pretty girl. Her name was Lona. She said, "My name's Lona, like loner." And I just remember that because I was well. But anyways, so we all did I guess I hooked up with her. He's chilling with his chick, his side chick, whatever she is at that time. After that's we've been chilling for an hour. He gets up to go do a cell. He don't come back. I start go looking for him. I'm cutting this real short because I'm telling you how I kind of went to prison. He disappears. I start looking for him. Turns out during the transaction, he didn't make it to the transaction. Daniel's only 21. He was sober that day too. He had sobered up while I had overdosed that day. He just sobered up. And the first day he was sober, he was killed by another 21-year-old female drunk driver. It was all over the news. Her name was... Man, what was her name? It's been so long. I think it was... I can't speak on it right now, but it was all over the news and all this, and she got out of jail real quick, and I had been to jail, but at the same time I wanted justice for my friends, so that was real weird. Well, anyways, when Daniel got hit, he was in ICU. He had a breathing machine on. I was the one that alerted his whole family again, like, because I had saved Daniel the month before, and Daniel saves me that day, and then Daniel freaking overdoses. So, I mean, then Daniel gets hit by a car. So then I alert his family again about the bad news. Well, I go on this binge. Daniel's in the jail. I want to go pick up a vehicle. When I went, I just went on this bender. I got a bunch of Xanax. I was going all wilding out. Well, one morning, I was at the hospital with Daniel and his family. And I had a bunch of ecstasy, heroin, benzos. I had Xanax, just everything. Methadone. Well, I took the ecstasy. It started making me trip out at one point. I remember thinking like the cops were after me. So I split from the hospital. And when I took off, I like blacked out or something at some point. I'm on heroin and ecstasy. And then I come to eventually like at 6 in the morning. I left the hospital like at 1. I remembered that I had all that Xanax. When I took that Xanax, I remember I had all that Xanax, so I went and bought a water. I took the I had 22 1 milligram footballs. I take all of them. Not really wanting to die, just wanting to get fucked up. And about like 20 minutes later, I remember I pulled up the methadone, and I didn't want to get too trash, so I only took half of it. There was 60 milligram bottle. Then like a minute later, for some reason, I just took it all. I just like took the rest of the methadone. Thought I could handle it. This video got a little more complicated because I forgot to say one thing. I'm going to cut this in, hopefully. Now I'm going to have to put this on like iMovie. When I had overdosed, when I took the 22 Xanax and the 22 1 milligrams. So 22 milligrams of Xanax and I took 60 milligrams of the methadone while already on heroin and ecstasy. When I had blacked out, I was trying to get on a bus to go pick up a vehicle, a truck. When that had happened, I don't remember what happened. Like, I don't remember getting on the bus. I don't know who took me to the hospital. The only thing I remember during this whole thing was at some point I was in somebody's car or a ambulance. I don't know. Somebody said, Ryan, what hospital do you want to go to? And I said, and they named some. And I said Presbyterian. Oh no, they said Anna Caseman, because there's Anna Caseman in Albuquerque. So I say, yeah, take me to Caseman. Or something. Caseman, I don't know. Then I blacked out. I went back out. They dumped me. Wherever they dumped me, my paperwork on the from Presbyterian said I was there on an overdose, that they had some breathing machine on me. But I would come to out of these like overdoses, I guess, and I would pull the tube out, and I would call my sister, my older sister, or whoever. I was trying to call multiple people. Well, my sister was frightened when she heard how I sounded like all trashed, I guess, but, you know, she knew I was okay. She started calling hospitals to find out what hospital I was at, which Presbyterian I was at or something, and then that's how she called the cops on me. I remember having 2 scales in my backpack that I was carrying. I had 2 scales. I had a ½ ounce of heroin. I had like 14 strips that weren't in my name. It was Daniel's strips, but he's in a coma. He's on a breathing machine himself. So at one point in that week, both of us were on breathing machines. It was real traumatic for me to lose one of my best friends at that time. I just remembered having a lot of stuff in my backpack. You know, a lot of drugs, scales with residue, like proof that I was trafficking. Life in prison type shit with my record at that point. You know, like 10 years is life, and I'm not going for no 10 piece. So at some point, I came to again for a brief second, like 2 seconds. And the cop said, there was a cop there, and he said, "Man, I'm glad you came back, Mr. Turpin, and I'm glad I came back too." And I was watching him dig through my backpack. That's what triggered me to come out of the blackout. Whatever that knowing was that I'm about to get locked up forever. Well, whoever took me to jail was smart enough to take all my drugs, all my scales, and everything before I went to the hospital and save my whole life. Took my money to some amount of money, a couple hundred, or I don't know how much I had, but it was so worth it, so worth it. So next thing you know, this is at 6 in the morning, 11 p.m. I'm waking up in handcuffs, being drugged to the jail. Well, the way they caught me on the run was my older sister called the cops, justifying that she's worried I'm gonna die on drugs, like as if it would be better for me to be locked up in jail, hell on earth, than to, you know, be on drugs on the streets. So she locks me up. The worst thing I think any family member could really do, honestly, in my opinion. I know you want to save me and all this, but you're talking about a place that I've already done 1.5 years. This is some fucked up shit. I don't say nothing, we go on. Like, I don't say nothing to my sister, but at the same time, I was real hurt about it. When I got out of prison a few years later, I faked to my family that I was on parole so that they weren't on my ass as much, trying to shame me for whoever I wanted to be. They never understood me. Well, my family, so I started working for my older sister again, working for a freaking husband again, and I remember my older sister found some cottons, like heroin cottons. She goes to my parole officer. She wants to lock me up again. Well, about a month before this, I was only out of prison for 2 months. I told her, I will never go back. If I ever get any kind of charge again, I will go suicide by cop. I am never going back to jail again. That's not a way of life. Prison and jail itself, the inmates are easy to handle. I could talk to people. It's just them telling me when to eat, when to sleep, having no freedoms. Like, everything is just so bad. Like, it's not a life at all. Being in prison and jail is not a life at all. I don't try to glorify that. I try to stay as high as much as I could in there because of that. So for my sister to go try to turn me in after I just did years and years, and I did those years. I mean, it's my fuck ups that caused those, but it's like my sister always trying to send me back for whatever justification she has. But she knew I said I would go down, suicide by cop, and she still tried to get me locked up. Well, when she went to the parole office, she found out I never was on parole. Because, yeah, I had discharged free. For once in my life, I was free. I didn't have this horrible anxiety about all these UAs and all this PO crap. It was such a massive relief off my shoulders. But when she found when she found out, they freaked out. They take my job away again. They kick me out of the house again. Throw me to the streets like I'm just some piece of trash. She wonders why we have all kinds of problems now. I always think about all that crap, you know? We have a lot of issues, like, they don't see me, like, correctly. They judge me so hardcore because they've been Christians their whole lives, when their families are so screwed up in so many ways, you know? Like, I honestly it could cause drama in my family, me just saying this, but I'm going to make it clear. My auntie Michelle, like, you guys don't know what I'm talking about yet, but I have an auntie. Her name's my auntie Michelle. She's always had my back and always, like, not always, but as of late, as, like, the past, like, I don't know, 5 years, 4 years. She's really tried to understand me, and she really tries to, like, raise her sons on how I speak about how I was raised. She really looks up to me in a lot of ways. So I'm not talking about my auntie Michelle nor her kids. They really do support me a lot. But a lot of my other side of my family, like my mom, she tries to support me now today and stuff. She tries to view things my way, and I appreciate my mom for a lot of the things she's making steps forward. But like with my sisters, they're not evolving. They are constant, and it's this constant battle. So I'm telling you guys this story now because it's like, you know, they've sent me to prison, they've shamed me my whole life, and it's just this constant cycle. You wonder why I'm doing so much drugs all the time. And, you know, I'm gonna get my shit straight. You know, I'm sober today, so, you know, that's a good thing. I'll be sober for another day. At least I'm off the heroin today. Been off that for a while. So it's another show, you know. It's another show, Prison Without Walls. I'm your host, Without. If you guys got any comments, questions, let me know. I'll try to read them. It's real hard for me to read the comments a lot of the times. But I will start getting the hang of this stuff. And I appreciate everybody that's watching me. And I'll see you on another one.